Well, hello, everyone. I'm Christian Arce, and this is another episode of Real Estate Talk. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk to fellow Facebook friends in the real estate industry and the lending industry too, to give you a different perspective of what's going on in the trenches, and share some positive and inspirational tips, maybe ideas, some opinions from, I just want to show you some good ideas from real people out there in the industry, investors, brokers, lenders out there doing it every day, grinding and pushing through this COVID-19 crisis. And also to encourage you and uplift people out there that, that may really need some help. So I'm really grateful to be here and be able to share this with everyone watching. So please share, and if you would, I would really appreciate that. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere you are, if you would like to share, I would really appreciate that. So we can reach out to more people looking for this type of information. So today, my next guests today are full-time multi-unit real estate investors in Chicago, and also the podcast host of Landlording Automated and First Deal Experience. And they're also real estate mentors at their real estate website, the Kwak Brothers. So you can definitely find them on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, and on social media for sure. And I'm going to give you the information for them later. But I met them a few years ago, and when they were just starting in this in real estate investing, and I've seen them grow in this industry year after year. So I really appreciate them being here today. So I immediately thought about sharing their experience with everyone today, simply because a lot has changed in the industry in the last few months, and everyone needs to know what's going on out there in the real world with real estate investors. So we're going to ask him about everything that they're doing today and how they're helping other to start investing in real estate, and how they're being able to stay on top of their game during this crisis. Okay, everyone. So please help me welcome Sam and Daniel Kwak. Here you are. Give me a second, guys. And you're on. There you are. Hello,
Hey,
what's up, guys?
yeah. Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, thank you for joining me today, guys. I know you're busy, and really appreciate you joining me today and taking a little bit of your time to share your story and kind of share what's going on out there with real estate investing. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be
All
here.
right, Sam and Daniel. I know you're, so one of the things that I wanted to share today, and is why I invited you to join this live today with me, and it's not only about what you guys do on real estate, but also to bring a different perspective in real estate investors, for real estate investors, and some positive message and inspiration to new and seasoned investors out there. Okay, so as you know, we're living in a moment that a lot of fear is being transmitted to people through every channel, and it's making it very difficult for a lot of people out there. And I think that sometimes sharing the experiences of other investors, and sharing um, some positivity will definitely inspire someone out there to do better. Than you think?
Yeah, definitely.
So okay, so that's our goal, actually, guys. So okay, that's our goal today, just to really reach those people, real estate investors, business owners out there that may need some direction and some ideas on how to get through this, and using this platform just to help them out. So all right, so Sam, Daniel, let's get to it. I'm excited to talk to you guys. Please, why don't we start with a little bit about you guys, and how did you get started in real estate, and just from the different perspective of both of you, right? I'm sure you guys have different reasons.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and I'll chime in.
All right. So we got started back in 2000. I mean, really, the idea of wanting to get started in real estate started back in 2013. We came um, to be aware of this concept of real estate investing, right? Being able to buy rental properties or fixing and flipping houses. This was such a foreign concept. If you weren't around it, right? If you weren't exposed to it, you don't know what you don't know. So 2013,
Right.
we got exposed to this idea, and then we've been looking at YouTube videos, reading books, and then 2014 we ran into a particular local real estate community, got plugged in there, and then we started working with a local person who has substantial success at the time, and then we were able to partner with this individual and partner up with many individuals through the network that we've been able to develop. And in 2017, so we've been going around circles and trying to build up our portfolio and try to get into the business. It took us close to 3 years to do that, right? Just to get to that point where we closed our first deal. So 2014 through 2017, we were just on a learning mode. We weren't making any money. We were doing other businesses at the time just to keep food on the table. But 2017 was when we finally did our first deal, and then in that year alone, 2017, we were able to acquire 77 rental units. We just like to say 75 just for simplicity's sake. 77 rental units, and since then we've done multiple transactions. So Daniel can probably chime in things that I missed here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was perfect. I think we joined real estate for the same reasons a lot of people do. Money. Let's be real. So, yeah, I mean, our story isn't. I mean, it's not granular. It's not it's not within the outside of somebody else's reality and possibility.
Right. But I mean, obviously, there is a lot of things out there where you can make money too, right? So, what kind of draw you into real estate? What kind of got you attracted on real estate? Because obviously, you could have chose any other thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can get into specifics, right? The tax deductions and all that, but I think overall, you look at the big picture. Over 90% of the millionaires made in the United States have been so through real estate, right? There's a commonality. I mean, the guy that's in the White House right now is a real estate investor, right? The guy in charge. Many wealthy billionaires and millionaires, they own real estate to some capacity, whether it's an office building or residential real estate, multifamily. So there's a common thread there, right? When it comes to building wealth, real estate always seems to be the common denominator. And of course, we have other businesses, but real estate is primarily how Daniel and I built our wealth.
Okay. And what did you guys started with? What type of real estate investing? Did you started with wholesaling, fix and flips, or you just jump into rentals right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with wholesaling, but a lot of the multimillionaires and billionaires I've met, because I mean I can't speak for Sam, but for me, like when I do something, I want to do it long term. I want to do it the best way. I want to go to the top 1%. I'm not very interested in talking to the guys who are like the 5th or 6th best in the world. I want to talk to the number 1 guy, or at least minimum the number 2 guy. So I know how to beat him and be number 1. But when I talk to a lot of these guys, they said, if you want to be rich, do fix and flips and wholesale and do, that's great. But if you want to be wealthy, get into rentals, get into owning apartments, get into owning passive streams of income. Because if you do flips and wholesale, you gotta wake up the next day and do it all over again. And I'm okay with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with wholesaling. But for me, I'm interested in building wealth. I'm not interested in being rich. I'm interested in having and being wealthy. Those are the guys that are real movers and shakers. So we decided collectively that passive income and multifamily and rentals would be the better route to go. And for me, it clicked with me more. I related more to it than just wholesaling and flipping, and it seemed very transactional. And that's, again, nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely, no.
Yeah, But
I know.
my
I mean,
personal taste.
that's what is great about real estate investing is that there is many ways to do it, right? And absolutely depends on one of the things that we learn about, right? Is about our own identity, right? And how to feel comfortable in what we're doing and like what we're doing, right? So because it's not only about the money, like you said, but it's also about feeling great about what you're doing and enjoying what you're doing at the same time that you're making money, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I would like to introduce another aspect of that spectrum. So a
mhm,
lot of people say, and I actually talk about it in the book I just wrote, Zero to
mhm,
75 Units in 1 Year, which is available now at zero to
mhm,
75units.com. You can check it out on our website and multiple different platforms. But I talk
absolutely,
about it in the book. But people say, hey, do what you love and the money will come, right? Or like
right,
do what you're passionate about. Um,
absolutely,
I could not disagree. I could not disagree more with that statement. I'm
right,
not a big fan of that statement at all. I think in business, I think in society today, we have way too many people who are very entitled and are romantic about the way they make their money. You got the
hmm
kid that'll go to college and they'll get a degree on women's studies, and they expect to work for a job and make $200,000 a year. It doesn't
right,
work like that. Now,
right,
obviously, that's a very extreme case, but a lot of that same mentality and mindset people in real estate have. They're like, well, I'm going to, do what I want to do, and the market's going to revolve around me. And I'm not going to pay attention to what's happening in the market. I'm not going to pay attention to what's happening in my micro community, in my macro community with trends and things of that nature. Well, that's how a lot of people lost their shirt in 2008.
right,
They weren't paying attention. They made the market follow them instead of them working around what the market actually wanted and what
right,
value points there are available. So a combination was that I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted passive income. And then Sam and I also we decided we weren't going to be romantic about the way we make our money. We're going to look at the market and decide, hey, what is the best route to go long term for the next 5 years? If we're going to build something, we want to build
right,
something that stands the test of time. And I saw a lot of wholesalers and fix and flippers lose a lot of their shirt in 2008,
hmm
2009.
yeah, yeah,
I saw 95% of all flippers just get eliminated. But the guys who owned multifamily and had equity, they had a very strong equity position and they didn't over leverage, I saw
right,
those guys make massive amounts of money. And those guys were the real sharks, whereas the guys who flipped and whatnot, they were the dolphins, right? They were the fish that got eaten. And again, nothing wrong with flipping. I think if you do it in a market that has the appreciation hedge that you're looking for, that has the yield that's going to protect your investment and your capital, I say go for it. But I
right,
saw way too many people lose their life savings investing into flippers that had, number one, no business doing deals, and number two, didn't time the market. They didn't, they had all the tools. They didn't study the battlefield.
right,
So I love when people say, "Hey, love what you do." I agree. You should be happy. Like everybody has the right to pursue happiness, but there is the other end of the spectrum where the market doesn't care about your feelings or what you want to do. It's the market is
right.
going to do what it does, and it's up to you as an entrepreneur to mitigate that, to navigate those
Right.
waters.
Right. But at the same time, obviously, education it has a big part of it, right? And what do you think about the idea or the concept per se to learn about many different real estate strategies per se, and then, maybe trying them out or, then choosing the one that you want to go for, right? So like you just said, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just make sure you do you do your market research.
Right. Right.
And for a lot of people, that means watching articles or listening to video, what podcast, whatever they be. No, not necessarily. If it's kind of like cars, right? If you don't know the anatomy of a car and you don't have the knowledge of a car, it's very difficult to have a conversation with somebody when you're purchasing a car or
Right.
when you're figuring out what's happening to the trends in the car industry, the audio industry. So, you got to learn your stuff. You got to be a master of your craft. And once you
Mm-hmm.
know the content, then you can fully appreciate what's happening to the context of what's happening out there.
Right. But what do you guys think about, the people out there that think that they can just learn about doing this, just, watching YouTube videos
Yeah,
for
I
free
mean,
information?
I mean, I think that's true with any mastery or any professional. You know, if you want to be a doctor, you don't go watch YouTube videos and try
Right.
to diagnose somebody, right? You know, I think we've all understand that there's a degree of mastery that is involved in real estate, especially
Hmm.
if you're looking to make millions of dollars in this business. You got to have millions of dollars worth of mastery and understanding the discipline. You know, like what Daniel alluded to earlier, with just understanding and scoping the market. Um, the value that you bring into the table must be $1 million, right? The way that I look at it is kind of like um, not a seesaw, but like a scale, right? On one end of the scale, you know, you want to make $1 million, right? But on the other end of the scale, right, if you don't bring in $1 million worth of, value, understanding, skill, discipline, you know, it's not going to equal out, right? So if you
Right.
want to make millions of dollars, you got to have $1 million worth of patience, $1 million worth of skill, craft, mastery in whatever you do. But it doesn't matter if it's real estate, being a lawyer, being a doctor, whatever the case might be. So I think understanding that, yes, education is definitely important, but also just the other supporting skills like patience, self-control, discipline. When to peel back and um, exercise restraint, right? And when to go full out and be aggressive. So knowledge in itself is just stored energy. You got to learn how to use it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, I mean, it's obviously that's one of the first things that I was told by the person that kind of introduced me into real estate
Mhm.
investing. Right, I started right after the crash of 2008. Right, and one of the main things that obviously a lot, I was in real estate before that, so we were all going through a crisis there. Right, so no money, no nothing going on after that. Right, so, and when I met this guy, right, he was like the first thing that he told me, well, how much are you willing to invest, right? And I was
Mhm.
immediately I thought, well, I don't have any money right now to invest. How can I make this happen? And he's like, no, no, no. This is not talking about investing in properties. Is how much are you willing to invest in yourself? Right?
Mhm.
How much are you willing to invest in time and to learn about this and and master really the real estate before you start putting even your own money if you have it, right?
Yeah.
So and that is something that I think that a lot of the young people are I see a lot of them still wanting to jump now because they see there's going to be an opportunity. I think that obviously there's many opinions out there, but what
Mhm.
this is why I brought you guys here because I want to hear your opinion too about everything that is going on now and how people are seeing the opportunity coming for real estate, right? And I think that we're still in the middle. We still haven't seen anything that well, how it's going to turn out. How is that opportunity come in real estate? Whether it's going to be on a lower pricing or different many ways, right?
Mhm.
So, but the thing is that for that, I'm trying to get to the fact that a lot of young people are trying to jump in it too fast, right? Without really learning much of it first and just saying, okay, well, I see that people are making money fixing flipping properties. But like you say, Daniel, I mean, sometimes, they have no business going into that side of it, right? They might be better going into a different type of strategy. So I think that learning about strategies, getting a little bit of education about the different strategies, there's so many ways to do it that, and now I think it gotten easier, even more so the strategies, the beginner strategies to start investing without much money, right? Like wholesaling, lease options and stuff like that don't really need a lot of money to start with, but at the same time it's a technique that you really have to learn how to work, right?
Yeah. What was your question?
Well, I was more than a question, was more of a comment, right? To
Yeah.
say, what was your opinion in regards of, young people getting into the real estate without, learning or taking the time to learn more about the industry, right?
Yeah.
And which way is the better way, instead of just jumping because they see people out there making money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us, I think anybody listening to this would agree that, whether when you want to jump into real estate investing, you have to learn.
Right,
There are no shortcuts in life,
right,
and you either pay for it within a course or a mentor, you pay for it out there in a deal. And unfortunately, the cost of education, learning it, doing a deal is much greater. And
right,
one of my biggest pet peeves in real estate is when people just want to do a deal without taking the actual necessary steps to master the craft first.
right,
They go out there and they learn on the dime of other people. If you get what I'm saying, they raise
right,
money.
absolutely.
They raise $250,000. They make a mistake that they wouldn't have made if they would have literally paid 2,000 for a course, and they think nothing of it. Right? It's like, well, it's not my money. That's why we use OPM. And for me, that's one of the biggest pet peeves. In my opinion, those people are the scum of the industry. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. They have. I mean, you're talking about, and people ask me all the time, like, well, Daniel, how are you so good at raising money? Well, it's because
Mhm.
I don't, it's because I care about people. Like
Right,
I literally take every single necessary step and more to make sure the investors that invest with me, their money is protected.
right,
And I'm gonna put myself on the line before they get hurt in that scenario. But you have, again, 80% of the industry, and this, Christian,
yes,
80% of the people in the industry have no regard about protecting others people's money. They do it because they it's a win for them. They care. It's a necessity for them and for them to make money. Um, and again, that's what I talk a lot about in the book. There's a mindset to not
hmm,
only honing your craft and the willingness to master your craft, but there's a mindset to the guys that stick around. There's a mindset
right,
to the guys that are here 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And that's something that I wish people would know more. So, it's an obvious answer, right? Like, of
Mhm.
course,
mhm.
of course, anyone's going to say, yes, you should learn your craft, but, also have the mindset to use it well.
Right. Well, the thing is that, as we heard before, that, education can be used in a good and a bad way, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is that a lot of it, you won't be able to know how to protect those people. You're not going to be able to learn how to, raise money for your properties or your deals without actually learning the right way to do it, right? I don't think that anybody that you can work with or any investor that will take you under their wing is going to actually tell you exactly what to do in regards of that. You can see people how to do it, and you can watch videos, but at the end of the day, I think that education has a big part. At least it was a big part for me, right? So I really took the time to learn and apply what I was learning, but at the same time, like you
Mhm.
said, it takes a lot of care about other people's money to be able when you jump into that, right? Because there is now a lot of ways that you can do it without utilizing other people's money, right? There is
Mhm.
now, from the time that you guys started and the time that I started to the last 2 years, there was an abundance of lenders, Harmony lenders, and private lending companies out there. They're lending. They make a lot easier to new investors to start investing in properties without having to go out and raise money from private people. Of course, the private lending and using money from other people, I think is kind of the ultimate strategy for real estate investors, but I don't think it should be the beginning of it, right? So obviously, for that reason, I think that yeah, you have to go through some experience to get to that. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. But at the same time, as you know, guys, a lot has changed in the last 10 years, right? Since you guys started too. I mean, how much the market has changed and how much is adapted. You will have to adapt throughout all those years that you've been learning, and from the time that you start actually investing and you start acquiring properties, how much the market is changing. And now this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first actually crisis, economic crisis that you guys go through as an investor, right?
Yeah, it's not a crisis; it's more of an opportunity.
Yeah. But
I do think that I mean, their market has changed, but it's nothing.
right,
It's almost nothing we haven't seen before. I mean, if you look
right.
at where the stock market is, if you look at where the futures market is, if you look at where I mean, if you look at all these different markets, a lot of times you see similarities in 1937 and also 1999 and 2001. There's
Mm-hmm.
a book series I read by Ray Dalio. It's called 48 Debt Cycles, and he details for the last 100 years all
Mm-hmm.
the debt crises that has happened around
Right.
the world, not just America. And history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does has its patterns. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
individuals who do study and are diligent and surround themselves with the right people will succeed. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we can make is compare what's happening now to 2008. I actually think
Right.
that's a very disadvantaged mindset for you to have. If you are making, it's like a lot like hindsight bias, right? You look at the similarities, be like, oh, see, like there's similarities over there. That means this is going to happen. Well, not necessarily.
Right.
So I think it is, we're seeing degrees. Like we've never seen the Federal Reserve go above $7 trillion in terms of the
Right.
balance sheet and what they're issuing out. But
Yeah, that's true.
it has happened before in terms of consumer sentiment, right? I mean, economy, markets are all, at the end of the day, it's all about human psychology. It's all about human behavior. So whether it's 7 trillion or whether it's 1 trillion, the first time that's happened, or 2 trillion, at what happened in 2009 or 2010 with 10-year Treasury bonds.
Right.
I mean, I don't think the psychology is any different. But I think just the numbers happen to be different. That's why you can't really make similarities between 2008 and right now.
Right.
But you can make pretty accurate predictions based on what the human psychology is going to think. So I
Right.
don't know. We'll see. Like you said, we'll see what happens. And I'm
Yeah.
actually putting together moves right now that it's been in the works for the last 3 years that I'm going to start really harvesting some goods on.
Okay. No, no, I mean that definitely. I mean this like you said, in 2008 it was a real estate crisis. This is a completely different thing, right? It affects real estate, but it's not a real estate crisis, right? So it's a different thing, it's a different situation, right? So and it came from a different way. So but going into that, I mean, in the last few months, right before COVID-19 started here in the States, where was your business? Where guys, were you in investing? Were you actually actively acquiring more buildings? What were you right before that? And how the COVID-19 has affected your business since it started?
Yeah, I mean, our business has been doing phenomenal.
Okay.
Because we also have an education component. But I think people are smart enough this time to recognize that there will be an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
in the next few years. And I think they're recognizing, okay, this is the time to get ready, prepared. At least the ones that we talk to, they're usually smart.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell us, hey, I think there could be an opportunity in the next few years. I don't want to miss that. So part of the ways that we've been able to kind of educate is, hey, if there's an opportunity brewing in the horizon, you might as well start to learn and get educated and go deeper into what could be the possibilities. So, I mean, we detail it here in this book, right? 0 to 75
Mm-hmm.
units. It's a free
Right.
book that we're offering. Um, if there's an opportunity brewing, definitely you got to get ready. And I think because of that, our business has been better, and people have been recognizing, hey, we need to learn what these guys know. So part of the reasons why we've launched this book more so recently is because we know there's going to be an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Get in on that, on understanding how to acquire properties now, right? Understanding
Right.
now is going to give you a better edge than someone who comes in late into the party. So that's just for our education side. Daniel's been working on our real estate side in terms of putting together some unique opportunities. So obviously you can kind of
Yeah.
spill on that.
I mean,
Yeah.
our YouTube channel's been doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, our YouTube channel has actually been blowing up, which, it's the Kwak
Right.
Brothers on YouTube. If people
Yeah,
want
I've
to
seen
subscribe.
that.
Yeah.
And same thing with our education. I mean, we offer a couple different products here at the Kwak Brothers, and that's just been blowing up. We've been having record months in terms of revenue. Real estate wise, I actually sold a lion's share of my portfolio in 2019.
Okay.
When I saw the rates were relatively really low. I mean, I knew that we were at like what 1.1 to 1.5, I think, for the vast majority of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that if the Fed wanted to lower it any lower, there was going to have to be something dramatic, and I didn't
Right.
realize it was going to be a biological aspect. I thought it was going to be
Right.
more of something along the lines of like maybe like 9/11 or something. But I mean,
Right.
it's nothing new, right? Like, you look at every election year, right? Something happens every
Mm-hmm.
election year to affect the polls or whatever it may be, and then the Fed accordingly responds.
Right.
I guarantee you, when Jerome Powell is making his press conferences and doing his in the back of his mind, he's like, "Here we go again, right? I've been doing this now for decades, and here's another.
Right.
It's nothing new, right?" So I mean, I knew that it was going to take something drastic to lower it extremely low, and in the midst of the drasticness, a lot of people, history will show you that volume and transactions tend to go lower. I
Right.
mean, you look at the year over year, April 2019 and April 2020, you're seeing almost a 16% drop in transactional volume in all real estate markets.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, like, all right, this is probably the best time to sell. So I
Right.
did. So I let go. I'm currently in the midst of selling my last one right now, and I've got some big plans in terms of buying properties down south currently, and we're making big moves, and we're being opportunistic about what's happening.
Right.
But again, we're just navigating waters is all we're doing, right?
Okay. Well, yeah, actually, I was going to ask you about that. I did the same thing. We sold pretty much everything that we had right before COVID hit it. But either way, that was not, because we saw that it was coming or anything like that. But I mean, we simply saw that I looked at it from the point of view of being at the top of the pricing. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
properties, at least in our area, we were touching the top, and we were our market here in Chicago, where you are too. I mean, it was a little bit softer. So yeah, that's when we saw the opportunity to start selling some of that stuff. But now a lot of people have been looking that obviously they're aware of our market being a little slower than other markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that I know, they're been looking south, right? They're been looking to do more stuff on the southern states. So, and now I hear you kind of looking at the same way, right? So and you're looking, what type of properties are you looking to acquire in the southern states, and
Yeah.
if you don't mind sharing which states where you like the most?
Yeah, so we're focusing again on
Mm-hmm.
multifamily and storage units. I'm investing in an area that not a lot of people know about. A
Okay.
lot of big investors are going to Texas, Arizona, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's a specific area that I'm investing in. It's not a specific state. It's actually a specific area, a particular city and its surrounding areas. But it's an area that not a lot of investors know about.
Okay.
And obviously, for the interest of my investors, I can't reveal that location.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you like to find out,
Right.
then bring the cash. But
Right. If I tell
I
you, I have
can't.
to kill you. Right.
Yeah, that's right. But it's just, again, I love to share with everyone. At the end of the day, I think Sammy and I both, we want to see everybody genuinely win.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see people, leave their jobs and be able to have financial freedom. But obviously, I have to protect, the people that work with me and people on my team and make sure they're in the best position possible to win. I
Right.
just have to do that, right, as captain of the ship. But we are investing in multifamily and storage units. I'm not, and let me say this, about 5 months ago, I would have told you that, oh, like I told you, this recession is 2020. I've been saying recession 2020 ever since 2016. And I
Right.
actually, did put out a YouTube live saying that I said that. But now, what's happening right now, I mean, I'm not so sure if this is going to happen. Paying attention to the commercial mortgage-backed securities market, you may have some
Mm-hmm.
opportunities there. You may
Right.
have a little bit of a spike in short sales and default rates, but I'm not sure if this dip is going to be as deep as people think it's going to be. And I think a lot of people are going to be fooled. I think a lot of people are going to be fooled by the media. I think we are going to see a small dip in real estate, and people are going to go, oh, see, like there it is, everyone buying now, right? And it's going to oversaturate the market with capital like it did the last 4 or 5 years in the inflationary period of our market cycle. I mean, you
Right.
look at, I think just in the private equity space alone, I think they've reached $32.4 billion in cash reserves. to attack real estate. And that's just real estate, and that's just private equity. You're not talking about the big guys like Blackstone, and you're not talking about the big guys like Starwood, and a lot of, and Berkshire Hathaway, like they reached their record numbers in terms of liquidity that they're attacking real estate with. I mean, you're just talking private equity, and you're at 32.4 billion. I mean, you don't even need, easing or anything like that at that point. You have so much private capital, and not only that, I mean, I read an article the other day that Chinese investors are looking to buy back into U.S. equities and real estate after a 2-year hiatus. I mean, you take all those forces, and you talk about even the little guys who have been saving money, waiting for this opportunity. I'm not sure if it's going to be as opportunistic as people think. And I think 2, 4, maybe even 5 years from now, people are going to look back and be like, wow, that was it. That's what we bought into, not as great as we thought. But maybe it will happen. I think if it is going to happen, the real one's going to happen possibly in 3, 4 years, when maybe even 2 years, when we realize that our economy and our U.S. real estate equities market can't sustain the amount of printing that the reserve has had, and a lot of the stuff is repo, a lot of the stuff is short term. So I'm not sure how sustainable it's going to be. So if something drastic is going to happen, I do think it may be happening in 2 to 4 years. But again, I'm not the wizard. I don't have, that hat from Harry Potter that tells you what's going to happen. I'm just a human being, so we'll see.
No, absolutely. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying, and I mean, we're not trying to predict the future here, but at the same time, we're just looking at the different signs that we have out there, right, and trying to make a decision on that stuff. In my case, I feel like everything that is going on right now with government and the feds and all that stuff, they just kicking the can down the road, right? We can see that a lot of the real estate market is still strong, a lot of the sales still strong. There is not a lot of inventory out there, and that's why I think the prices has been able to stay in there. Plus, obviously the low interest rate, like you said, I mean, had drawn a lot of people to buy properties, and at the same time, we have to see still how many people are going to be able to go back to work, right? So, and that's going to happen probably in the second part of the year now, and see, once that unemployment stops, we're going to see really who's going to be able to go back to work and who's going to have a job after that and not, and then we'll see a couple of different numbers right there, right? So, but let's talk a little bit about your education program, and how you guys are helping other new investors, to jump into the market. What are the type of things that your guys are teaching now, new investors out there?
Yeah, well, so the right now, everything is encompassing on this book right here, 0 to 75 units. Yeah, so in this book, primarily what we focus on, like, we're pretty consistent with our message. We want to help people grow their wealth through rental property real estate, right? So this book, I mean, you could technically use some of the techniques and strategies we teach you here for wholesaling and flipping, but it is centric to buying rental properties without using your own money or credit. And we've been able to write it because we've done it, right? We're sort of the living proof to it. So each chapter kind of goes through different tactics and strategies, but we encapsulate all that with some mindset, the wisdom and the ethics and the morality that goes into this business. Because when there's obviously money involved in anything, it can quickly become this mess of people. Obviously, their selfishness comes out, right? So we also write into about the ethics side of things, the morality side of things, something that Daniel alluded to earlier with raising capital. How do you do that ethically, right? How do you do that in a position of protecting the investor, not necessarily protecting the profit? Because if you protect the people, the profit will come. So the book is free, right? So for those who are brand new, wondering, okay, do I have to pay like $50 for this book? No, the book is absolutely free. The only thing that the buyers have to pay will be the shipping. So the book is on us. We bought the book for you. You just need to pay for the shipping, and we have it shipped out to you within 7 to 10 days. The book's about 292 pages long. So we put in a lot of our effort. Daniel mostly. Daniel put a lot of effort into writing this book. Daniel and I poured our heart and soul, not only the content but also the context of what the book goes into. And how beginners can get started. And even guys like you, Christian, who's been around for a
Right.
while,
Season.
right?
Right.
How to scale, right? How to build
Mm-hmm.
upon your success? How do you go from
Right.
50 to 100? How to go from 100 units to maybe even 1,000 units. The concepts are there for both beginners and experienced individuals to go and grow, start, or scale.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out also to Levi.
Oh yeah, Levi McPherson.
So
Yes.
Sam wrote chapter 11, and Levi actually wrote a a lion's share of chapter 12.
Yep.
And there's a total of 15 chapters, and we detail everything. So I want to give a shout out to Levi McPherson. Now, like Sam said, it's free, but you do have to pay for shipping. Which my opinion is, if paying $10 for shipping is what's preventing you from getting the book, for me as the author, I don't want you to read it, because that means if you're not paying $10, you're not going to do what the book says, right? What I tell you to do to create success, and I don't want that. I'd rather have 100 people read it and have 100 people create massive amount of success, and I get 100 testimonials, as opposed to getting 1 million people and only like one person actually does what the book tells you to do. So. Again, the book we worked on it for about over a year, and I mean, really, it details our whole journey and how we got there. And one of the things that frustrated me about business books is there's only like one or two things that that's the main message, and like that's pretty much it, right? Like usually the way I read, it's like, all right, I got the message. Like next, this book, it has golden nuggets and messages all throughout it, literally from page 1 all the way to page 292. I was very intentional about making sure there's no fluff, right? It's all just stuff, like it's all content. It's all valuable content that people want to read. I know I hate it when people waste my time, so I definitely put that expectation on myself and just say, all right, Daniel, don't waste anybody's time. Get to the good stuff. Put as much content in there as much as possible with absolutely no fluff. So yeah. I mean, that's the book. Obviously I highly recommend it. I give it 5 stars on Amazon. But I highly encourage people to get it, but only if they're willing to take the action.
Right. No, absolutely. And what are the some of the things that you just tell me a couple of things that you touch, a couple of the topics that you talk in the book. You said, Sam, that you touch a little bit about wholesaling too, and in there.
No.
Yeah, we don't cover wholesaling. But you can use some of the like the finding deals aspect.
Right.
Okay.
You can use it
Marketing.
for wholesaling. Yeah.
Okay.
But the first 5 chapters are actually stories. They're stories, and they're stories of how I how I recruited my first investor. How I got involved in real estate. I talk about how I bought my first multi-million-dollar deal in real estate investing. I talk about how I got my first nightly rental. So the first 5 chapters are all stories, and then the 5-6 chapters after that is all about the 4th strategy, which is find the deal, owner finance it, raise the capital, cash flow it, which is property management, and expand your empire, which is your ability to scale. And then the last 4 chapters are all about how do you create the right mindset for success? How do you take all the information that's in the book and use it in the right way from a healthy place?
Right. And I know you guys kind of built your company, your investing, your portfolio based on how you were able to raise funds through other investors, and But what do you think about leveraging now banks, leveraging hard money lenders out there that they're so abundant right now? So obviously, people, they see it everywhere. All the new investors, they're talking with some hard money lender out there, and of course they make it seem like it will be a lot easier going through them. But what do you guys think about that? Because I know that you use very little about of that, or almost nothing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never used a hard money lender.
Okay.
I actually advise people against it. I say only use it when you have a very short-term strategy and it's your last resort. That's when I tell people to use it. And the reason why is because when Warren Buffett says, when the tides come and the waves get washed out, you see who's swimming naked. I think when the tides do come and the waves do come, they're usually the first ones who get wiped out. And I'm not a huge fan of the results that can come. It's not a long-term sustainable option. Let me just say that.
No, no, absolutely. There's short-term solutions, all right. So there's short-term solutions, but there's there are many investors out there that are being able to make it work for them by buying property. Plus, a lot of those private lenders now, they adapted to the market, right? So we're talking about 2 years, 3 years ago,
Mhm.
2017, beginning of 2018. A lot of people started shifting into rentals, right? A lot of the people that I know that were into fix and flipping started shifting their focus into more rentals. And at the same time, private lenders, hard money lenders, they started doing the same thing because they saw the trend of people, more of those fix and flippers, a lot of them going into new construction, and then a lot of other ones going into rentals, and or either flipping rentals or keeping them, right? So, and a lot of them, they were able to, I've seen a lot of investors out there being able to make that work. And that's why I was interested on your opinion on that, right? Because obviously you made it in a different way, and it's great. So I mean, that's what I was
Yeah.
looking for.
I think a lot of hard money lenders who do rentals, a lot of it, I consider them the chocolate cake of the industry. You know, it's very good for you. Like it tastes amazing. But in the
Right,
long run, it's very bad for your health. It's not good for, obviously your collect, or, you get what I mean. It's not good for you. Um,
right,
what do I mean by that? I mean that there's nothing wrong with using hard money for short-term solutions. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of hard money lenders and institutional lenders that have shifted towards rentals. But notice how they only shift. Notice how they're very predominant when things are going great. When everything's awesome
hmm,
and everyone's making money, everyone's winning, they're phenomenal. But I've
right,
already seen a very heavy number of those same guys once COVID hit, they're out of business. They're not doing loans anymore. And what they're
right,
doing with existing loans, I don't know. I mean, you remember the amount of small community banks that are more established than these hard money lending firms that got bought out by these big banks. I mean, even in my
hmm,
local area alone, you had all these bank and trust banks, these small community banks in St. Charles, Aurora, Naperville. I mean, all these places, they got bought out by the big boy, Wintrust, right? And that's how
hmm,
Wintrust made
right,
their money and got so big the last 10, 12 years. So,
hmm,
if that's happening to the small community banks that are established and they're FDIC regulated, what's going to happen to these hard money guys that are only around for when the good times happen? I don't know.
right,
I mean, like you said, I haven't been around to find out.
right,
But for me, I always advise our students, and people
Mhm.
can do whatever they want. But for me and the people that learn from me, I ask them, hey, are the skill sets you're learning still going to be viable 5 years from now, 10 years from now? 15 years from now? Are they going to be viable then? Raising money from individuals, that's always going to be viable. People have been doing that ever since the first caveman borrowed a stick to kill a rat and they share the meal
right,
together, you know?
right,
But hard money and all these different, very stretched out, thin, over leveraged, motivated institutional lenders, I'm not so sure about them,
Mhm.
So,
right,
so
right,
learn the skills, do it the right way that will help you in the long run. That's what I
right,
teach. That's what Sam and I both preach in the Kwak brothers. And a lot of these firms, like I said, the hard money firms, these guys that are shifting, they attract people with their rates and their ability to over leverage.
right,
A lot of times that's not good for you. It's like chocolate cake. It looks
absolutely.
amazing. It's sexy. It tastes
Mhm.
awesome. Don't get me wrong. But in the long run, if you eat one chocolate cake, guess what you want to do the next day? You want to eat another one and another one, and it's just this cycle and cycle. But the
Right,
guys who are healthy, they're fit, they're ripped. What do? They have habits and they have expectations and standards that keep and maintain their healthy lifestyle. They go to the gym, they eat clean, and that's what learning the right way. That's what it means. Mhm.
right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw that changing over the last 10 years since I started. When I started before the crisis of 2008, lenders were very, generous, and they were lending 100% of your purchases, right? And then got cut off once 2008 happened, right? And then at that time they were not as um, abundant as there are right now, right? Or there were in the last few years. And so the first, 5, 6 deals that I made, what they will have to be done with our own cash, and raising funds in many very different ways and creative ways, right? So, and that kind of gave us an idea that it was not abundant. The money was not abundant. A lot of banks were not lending as much, and then obviously little by little starting coming back, and they're starting showing up. The hard money lenders, then they started lending more and more and more. When I first used one of those, was probably back in 2013 and 2014. We were putting 40% down on using that, right? So the leverage wasn't as big as it was on the last 2 years, right? In the last 2 years, new investors were investing with just 10% down, right? So they were highly leveraged, like you said, and now they went back to the same thing that were in the beginning. Now asking again, 25, 30, 35, even 40%, some of them, right? So yeah, absolutely. They are, you should, like, definitely, like you said, there are when the times are good, when the times got bad, a lot of them stopped lending completely, a lot of them closed their doors, and only the big guys kind of stay around. And obviously they cut off their guidelines in a way that it makes it very difficult for the new guy to kind of get started, right? So and we see a lot of that, and I mean, we still see a lot of people looking to get started on real estate. So what are you guys seeing on your education side? Are you how are you helping new investors? How anyone can get into your education system other than just getting the book right now?
Yeah, honestly, I think this is where it starts.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is you'll get to understand not only the strategy and the tactics we teach, but also I think
Okay.
you kind of get to know where we come from. And this is something huge. And I don't care if you buy the book from us, or you buy the book from somewhere else, or you buy another course, right? My philosophy is do pay somebody to teach you to do this, but I think
Right.
the bigger component is understanding where is your mentor's heart is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your mentor could have a way to, show you how to make $1 million, right? But if their lifestyle isn't aligned with what you want to achieve, right? If their morals and ethics are all jacked up, probably not the best mentor for you. So one of the ways that you can check this out, not only our strategies and success outwardly, but also check out where we are in terms of our own mindset, how we think, our philosophy through this book. And I think this is going to give you some idea on at least how we think and process information.
Mm-hmm.
And just where our heart is. And I think that's going to be more of a long-term component that you need to really look at when looking for a mentor or course. Again, doesn't have to be us, doesn't have to buy, you don't have to buy our book. But this is a good intro, a little bit of a little, it's a tiny investment to what you could pay, right? To kind
Right.
of get a trial of who we are and the concepts that we teach and what the possibilities that we can unveil.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Daniel, before we go, tell me a little bit about what's the goal in the next 5 years. What are you guys thinking to do in regards of investing and maybe helping people too, Sam? But what are some of your goals that you have, in the next 5 years to 10 years?
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest with you, Christian. I have no goals. I don't. I actually don't. I'm a guy that doesn't set goals. I think goals are great. I think, if other people set goals, that's awesome. But I'm actually not a big believer in goals. I believe in
Okay.
setting standards and expectations, things that I'm going to do, that I require myself to do every single day, that I know is
Mm-hmm.
going to create success.
Right.
In 2017, my goal in the beginning of the year was to get 20 units.
Right.
And then a mentor told me, hey, no, set standards and expectations as well, and then see what happens to your goal. So, January 1st, 2017, my goal was 20 units. After I set my standards and expectations, by December 31st, 2017, I had 77. So I, almost quadrupled what my goal was. And this has nothing to
Right.
do with 10x or 9x or 12x.
Right.
But it's all about the fundamentals, right? What do you got within? Because I believe if you set goals, you're putting yourself in the mindset of want. Like
Right.
I want this, I want that. But if you have standards and expectations, you're saying I am. I already am this, I already am that, and it's just a matter of time before I reach these things. But my partner Kevin, says according to what we've got going so far, our potential is probably about $250 million in real estate in about 2 years.
There you
So
go.
we'll see if our standards and expectations carry that, or it might go higher, it might go lower. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm very happy with my life right now. I make more money than a 26-year-old kid should be making. I've got great people around me. I've got a phenomenal wife. I've got a great brother and a business partner. I've got great teammates. I mean, everything is just swell.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you guys are super young. I mean, you have all the time of the world still. So that's absolutely awesome. So, guys, I really appreciate you coming. I really appreciate you taking the time and just joining me today and just sharing your point of view of what's going on out there, and what some of the new investors need to do to get started with you. Why don't you guys tell me? I have two slides that I'm going to share with people with all your social media
Yeah.
and your book website as well. So, but I just wanted to hear them from you. If you want to tell them how is the best way to get in touch with you,
Mhm.
what would be the best way to maybe meet you, or get in some of the. Are you guys thinking to maybe do some courses soon? Any live stuff yet or not? Are you
Uh,
doing any webinars?
Yeah, no, we have ongoing webinars. We have our YouTube channel. In fact, we just
Okay.
last Thursday we did a 3 hour like a marathon training on
Oh,
everything
nice.
that we cover in the book. So you guys can go check that out. And obviously, once you buy the book, we also give you other opportunities to join our Facebook group.
Okay.
You have the opportunity to connect with us. YouTube is probably one of the better ways to like actually interact. Even more closer to that, if you join our Facebook group, you'll be talking to me or Daniel through our Facebook group. But the book gives you access to all that resource. Again, it's free, 0 to 75units.com. You just pay for shipping, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
guys. I really appreciate you both for, giving me the opportunity, helping me kind of grow my audience and help my audience kind of learn a little bit more about what you're doing and what is good for them to start with today. So thank you very much. I really appreciate, and I'll hopefully we can do it again soon for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
my
Thank you,
friend.
guys.
you got it.
All right, guys. So if you want to get in touch with Sam and Daniel, here's their information for their social media. So you can definitely get in touch with them through the social media, and at the same time, the book. You can learn more about how you can start um, uh, investing in multi-unit buildings through their books. So, but this is their social media. Feel free to get in touch with them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're everywhere. So you can definitely get in touch with them and see how you can get started. And then if you're interested in their book, here's the information. You can find them on 0 to 75units.com. 0 to 75units.com, is the book that they just launched, and they're sharing all their information there on how you can get started. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little word also of our sponsors. Okay, so our sponsors today is National Corporate Credit, and let me put that in here for you so you can see it. So National Corporate Credit raises capital for startup and small business and large businesses as well. So NCC expertise ranges from raising capital for real estate projects, establishing, startups, funding for entrepreneurs, and even securing working capital for large real estate projects. So working with a lot of local, regional, and national commercial lenders, credit unions, and private equity firms, they can find the capital that you need to get your business going. Okay, so take advantage of their business lines of credit that they can get up to $150,000 at 0% interest for anywhere from 6 to 12 months, even up to 18 months. And also their term loans for more liquidity for your business. Okay, if you're looking for that, they can do up to $300,000 in liquid cash. So get more information from them. Call 847-220-7247, or just get a free consultation by going to getunsecuredcredit.com. Okay, so now if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me by going to my social media as well. So feel free to reach out to me through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. I'm very active on Facebook, as you can see, and in LinkedIn. Okay, so any of those two, you can reach out to me for any information, any questions that you may have. So really, feel free to send me any questions or anything that I can help with. I'll be glad to do so. So I'll see you next week again. So we're going to be again here next Tuesday, and next Thursdays now for next week. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It's not until then. I'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.